So before we move on to a nice round of introductions, I thought I would turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Heather Littlefield. So I'm gesturing to her because on my screen, she's, to the, on this side of where my hand is, but obviously she's not actually. But Dr. Littlefield is our program director, and I think she just wanted to share a little bit of her thinking as we embark on this new year.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm so excited to see you all, and I can't wait to meet all of the incoming students in person, whether that's over Zoom or face-to-face at some point on campus. But just really welcome to our program. We're super excited to see everybody back. I know it's going to be a strange semester between NU Flex, Zoom meetings, wherever it is that we're meeting you. We're happy to have you back. We're excited to I have to tell you, I've been preparing all summer. I'm just so excited to get back in the class with students so I can talk about the things I love, language structure, and all of those things, and kind of put behind me, like, how is Zoom going to work and how are, all these technical things going to work. So I think all the faculty share that with me. And I also want to tell you that even though the university is requiring us to do kind of more and more online rather than face-to-face as it pertains to like large group meetings, that we are really committed to having the full schedule of events that we've always had, even if that means we're moving them to Zoom. And in some instances, we think that that could really work out better because we might be able to have students who are out on co-op or maybe in different time zones and things meeting us. So we're hoping to do some virtual field trips to maybe a conference or two. We're hoping to have some guest speakers. A couple of faculty-oriented events as well, where we give you a heads up on, I don't know, things like how to apply to graduate school. You guys probably aren't thinking about that just yet, which is fine. Maybe how to attend the Linguistics Summer Institute next summer and those sorts of things. So we're just super happy to have you all here and joining us in class. And the last thing I would say is both Professor Cooper and I, as well as all of your linguistics program faculty, are here to help you. So whether it's you can't figure out how to do, I don't know, a certain button on Zoom, or how to interact with your Canvas course, or if you're struggling with course material, or just can't figure out advising at Northeastern, whatever it is, we're just here to help you. So please reach out to us, email, Zoom meetings, office hours, we're just here for you. So. With that, I will pass it back to Professor Cooper for the rest of our programming.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction and welcome. So I think what I'd like to do now is to turn it over to everyone just to have a round of introductions. And as you probably learned by now, because I'm sure we've all had many Zoom meetings, it's not as easy as just going around the room because the room is a different arrangement for everyone. So what I'll do is just call out everyone by name, and certainly feel free, if there's another name that you prefer to go by, let us know. If I mispronounce your name, please, feel free to let me know that as well. And I'm just going to post in the chat the kinds of questions that you might think about answering. And I'll go first myself, and then I'll ask Dr. Littlefield to fill in her answers if she wouldn't mind for what she hasn't already shared, and then we can listen to all of you as well. So we've got just a few questions of what's your name, what's your role at Northeastern, student, staff, faculty, where are you from? If you're a faculty member, what kinds of courses in linguistics do you teach? How did you discover linguistics? And then, one word that you'd use to describe how you're feeling or thinking about this new semester that we're about to jump into together. So I'll go first. So as I've said, my name is Adam Cooper. I am an associate teaching professor in the linguistics program at Northeastern. I'm actually just starting my 8th year at Northeastern semester. I'm originally from Stamford, Connecticut, which apparently is also the birthplace of the electric typewriter. But, of course, we've moved beyond that technology today, as we can all see each other on the screen relatively easily. It's kind of a wonder how far we've come. So what kinds of courses do I teach at in the program? So intro, a lot of introduction to language and linguistics, but then also courses focusing on the sounds of language, so phonology, as well as how languages change over time, history of English and historical linguistics. I've also offered a few interesting seminars over the last few years, most recently about constructed languages, which was a lot of fun for me to learn about constructed languages and then to shepherd a number of student projects where students were designing their own constructed languages. Um, how did I discover linguistics? Well, I didn't discover linguistics as a field until the spring of my senior year of college, actually. I was a classics major as an undergrad, so I was doing a lot of Greek and Latin, and I was always interested in languages, but no one had ever really talked to me about linguistics before. And someone did just before I was, about to graduate, and luckily I got into an intro course in the spring of my senior year, and I realized that what I most enjoyed about studying, ancient languages were how they worked, were the structures themselves, even more than the sort of cultural atmosphere around which they were used. So, that kind of reoriented my academic planning, and I, transitioned to graduate work in linguistics instead of classics, and that was several years ago now, and here I am telling you all about it today. And then lastly, one word that I'd use to describe my thinking about the new semester. Um, so I actually I have two, so I'll cheat a little bit, but you're also welcome to cheat too if you'd like. So one is open-minded, and the other is nimble. I think this is a new experience for many of us, and I think we just have to accept the fact that things are not always going to go as kind of seamlessly and straightforwardly as we may plan them. And I think there's going to be a lot of adaptation more than we may be used to. But I think if we all stick together and recognize that we're all in this together, I think we'll we all have the makings for a very successful time together. So I think now I will pass it back to Dr. Littlefield, if she wouldn't mind filling us in on the other questions that I've included beyond what she's already shared, and then we can go around the room, as it were.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So Professor Littlefield, or Heather Littlefield, as Professor Cooper mentioned, I am the director of the linguistics program and also a teaching faculty in the linguistics program. So I teach, well, I've taught many things. I used to teach much more like technical and theoretical things like syntax, minimalism, and more I've been moving into the sociolinguistics side and kind of thinking about things like social justice and linguistics, thinking about things like language and gender and linguistics. So kind of more that social side. The other thing I do a lot of is working with students on their research, so honors theses and other research projects the students are working on. I have a student right now, she just passed her proposal. She's going to look at sarcasm in middle grade books. So if you guys have all read the Percy Jackson series, those sorts of things were what interested us because there's a lot of sarcasm there. We're wondering how authors actually mark that, because we know it when we see it, but what is it about the linguistics that sets us up for that? So we're excited to be working on that over the next year. Where am I from? I'm from Boise, Idaho, so the other side of the states, and also the other side of the political spectrum. I've read that Idaho is the reddest of states in terms of their voting patterns. There are no Democratic leaders in the local or federal Senate or the governor's office, and I have moved to the bluest of the states. So that's kind of an interesting juxtaposition. How did I discover linguistics? I think like a lot of people, I discovered linguistics very late. I think those of you who are coming into linguistics are so lucky to have like found it earlier. I graduated with a degree in communication studies with an emphasis in rhetoric. I kind of thought maybe I would be a speechwriter for presidents and things like that. But as I went into the Peace Corps in West Africa, I spent 2 years there. and just fascinated by how language acquisition occurred. So my own progress in learning West African language Fula that I was immersed in, as well as just watching the magic of the children acquiring these languages in a multilingual setting, and came back and really wanted to learn more about language and discovered linguistics. It turns out actually I had been interested in it all along. As Professor Cooper said, I can see that I had taken every language possible in high school, expanded that in college, and just never had realized there was a field where I could like take this analytic mind that I enjoy and applying it to language. So it also took me a while to discover it. So super glad to be here. But like I said, I think you guys are lucky if you already know that you're interested in that. One word I would use to describe my thinking about this semester is optimistic. As Professor Cooper said, there are going to be a lot of kind of struggles and changes and kind of weird things that are happening. But I'm super optimistic to make the connections with my students, as well as continuing the learning process that's been ongoing this summer with how we can use technologies. And I think a lot of the things I'm learning aren't going to just inform my teaching this semester, but for the future in terms of how I can engage students in these different modalities. So I'm super excited about that.
Great, thank you so much. Professor Randall, would you like to introduce yourself?
Do we have to do the professors all first? Can we meet some students first? We'll come back to us.
Okay, we can, so then let's see, how about, I'm just looking at my list, Abigail.
Hi, I'm Abby Chung, and I'm a first-year student here. And I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is just outside Philadelphia. I discovered linguistics, I guess my first real interest in language was back in elementary school, and we had a bunch of those like Latin and Greek root workbooks, and I for some reason just was really into doing those, and it helped me learn a lot of vocabulary. So then that was kind of what sparked my interest in it. And then when I got to high school, I kind of realized like what linguistics was, and that like I was able to actually take it as a major at Northeastern. So that was really exciting. And I was going to use the same word as Professor Cooper. And I was going to say that for this semester, I feel open-minded because I'm really excited to be taking classes that I've never taken before in subjects that I really love, but don't know necessarily too much about. So I'm just open-minded and really excited.
Great, thank you so much. And yeah, I could have said this at the start, you know, if someone else has already taken your word, don't worry, please feel free to use it again. There are only so many words in the English language, so we may have to share. But yeah, thank you so much for that. So I'll just go based on the list of participants that Zoom has populated for me. And in that list, Professor Randall, you do happen to be next.
Oh, well, okay. Now that's fair. Abby is in my class. Hi, Abby. And I have Vicky or Victoria, Tori. How do you, tell me how you like to call it.
I use Vicky.
Vicky. Okay, I have another Victoria who goes by Tori.
Works that.
That'll be good because then I can distinguish. So, okay, let's see. What am I teaching? So this term I'm teaching 2 sections of intro linguistics. I really like teaching intro linguistics because I think it allows me to turn people on to the excitement of finding out kind of all the corners of information and curiosities in all these different areas, because it's sort of a linguistics greatest hits. You know, there's syntax, phonology, you know, you just do a little bit from everything. And I do include a big sociolinguistics component on dialects, regional, ethnic, and on gender, and on and then I do a piece on language and law if we have time. I have taught courses, I'm teaching syntax in the spring, And I've taught courses in linguistics and law as a seminar. I've taught, I have a course I'm not going to be teaching, but would like to teach because I just substituted syntax. It's a course on verbs, solid verbs, which is my specialty. And let's see. Yeah, those are my courses. What's the next question? Oh, how did I find out linguistics? Oh my. Actually.
Oh, Professor Randall, it seems like there may be an audio issue.
Yeah, I'm also having a hard time hearing. I didn't know if it was my connection or hers.
Okay.
Well, perhaps Professor Randall, if you wouldn't mind, we can come back to you. I don't know if it's the headset or what, but I think this is, I guess, indicative of the kinds of things that we were, talking about before. We're getting used to accepting and working through. So sorry about that, and I hope you can join us again with the audio operating better. But I mean, if I just again return to my list of participants, Abhijit, would you mind telling us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Abhijit Rangesh. You can call me Avi. It's probably easier to say. My role at Northeastern, I'm a first-year student. I'm a computer science and linguistics major. I'm from Edison, New Jersey, the land of the light bulb. So Thomas Edison supposedly created the light bulb there at Menlo Park. How did I discover linguistics? I mean, I've had a pretty interesting relationship with language and linguistics in general. I've always tried courses in different languages, whether it be German, Hindi, Spanish. Then recently in high school, I spent 4 years learning Latin. So kind of similar to Professor Hooper in that sense. What's one word? The one word I'd probably use to describe my thinking is curious. I really want to learn a lot about linguistics. I've never really touched the general side of linguistics. More I've touched the specific languages themselves. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Cyrus?
Hi, so my name's Cyrus. I like to go by Cy, and I'm a first-year student at Northeastern. I'm from Needham, Massachusetts, which is about 30 minutes from the Northeastern campus. So I guess I discovered linguistics when I was looking through the list of majors offered by Northeastern and saw linguistics. So basically my whole life, I've been pretty interested in languages. My grandma speaks a couple of languages, and I just thought it linked a lot of my interests together through psychology, English, history, everything that I enjoy, because I like a lot of different subjects. So I thought that was pretty interesting and thought it connected everything for me pretty well. One word I'd use to describe my thinking is excited, because I'm just excited to see how much I like the linguistics courses, and excited to try out everything that's new this year, and excited to be on campus. So
Great, thank you. Michael?
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Soroy. My role at Northeastern is the academic advisor for linguistics and psychology. So I'm the person who you email and meet up with virtually now, but hopefully in person someday soon, just to help you understand your degree and kind of work through any questions you might have. And I, you know, I work in tandem with Professor Cooper and Professor Littlefield when there's, you know, when there's stuff that we need to focus on that's more on the linguistic, like content side of things. I am from Massachusetts, South Shore, Easton, which a lot of people don't know because it's a small town, but I'm born and raised here. So I know Massachusetts pretty well. I do teach the Psych and Linguistics 1000 courses, which some of you might be enrolled in. So I'll be an instructor for those. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out. And how did I discover linguistics? Well, I was a creative writing. I got my master's in fine arts and creative writing and poetry, and I was an English major in my undergrad at UMass Amherst. So I've always, you know, always loved language. I've always loved creating and writing it. So that's, you know, not how I discovered linguistics. But then when I got hired here back in April, they kind of gave me the choice between behavioral neuroscience and linguistics. And I was like, well, linguistics kind of jives with what I've been doing my whole life. So, so I jumped on that. So I'm really excited to be here and to be working with all of you this semester. Hopefully you've seen my emails and welcome videos, but if you haven't, then, you know, you can definitely get in touch with me whenever you want. I'm always happy to work with you. And I think the word I'm going to use for this semester is creative. I think we have to be creative with challenges. We have to be creative in how we're going to succeed. We have to be creative in how we work together. So I think it's a positive word that kind of pushes us forward, which I think is really important. So I'm really excited to be here. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Professor Randall, would you like to pick up where you left off?
Sure. Okay, now I know my word. My word is patient or patience, because this happens. It's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to me. And, you know, you can upgrade your internet and pay $1 million every month. You can get new headphones and new cameras. You can do everything in your power to make it all work well. And then it doesn't always do that. You know, it's like, okay, so we're all going to be very patient and understanding with each other, and because we're all going to sort of virtually hold hands, and if it doesn't work and you miss something, I'm going to be taping my classes so that whoever has a technical issue will be able to tune in, you know, later. And what was your other question, Adam? How did I find linguistics? Oh, I was in graduate school in something else, and just had to take a requirement. And, you know, I took a linguistics course because I had never heard of it, and it sounded sort of like something that maybe I should look into. Also, I heard terrible things about the other two possibilities for the requirement. Like one of them was taught by a battle axe and the other one was boring, I thought. So I took this course called linguistics, and it was like, I don't know, what do you say? They took the scales from my eyes or something, you know. It's like, oh my God, science and words and language and wow, and analysis. I forget who said, yeah, love analytical thinking. And so when I discovered it, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. It was one of the top 2 linguistics departments in the world, UMass Amherst. And, you know, I applied, and after a long procedure, they said, okay, yeah, you can come. But remember, it's hard, they said. And remember, we only accept 1 in 10, so, and you don't have the right background. So, well, after I got in, things were great, and here I am. So, you know, you can do something new that you haven't done before. So don't worry about switching later. You know, if you're not in the straight path, just know that you can take a meandering roundabout way of doing things, and you bring all the stuff from where you've been into your new direction, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, what was the last question? I think, did I hit them all? Yeah, I gave you my word.
Yeah.
Patience.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm glad you could treat
Oh,
those.
there was one more thing I wanted to say. I
Sure.
do have a lab that I want to tell you about, and I'm looking for linguistics students to join the lab. It's called the Linguistics and Law Lab, Ling Law Lab. If you go to my faculty profile, there's a link to it. I think there's a link on the front page of the linguistics website, and if there isn't, there ought to be. Anyway, you can contact me if you're interested in joining the lab. We're doing work with judges in Massachusetts about jury instructions right now to try to make them more comprehensible. We go to courtrooms, not recently, but we will be going to courtrooms in the Commonwealth and downtown, and working with some pretty amazing judges, and we meet twice a week, 6 to 8 or 7 to 9, and we'd love to have some linguists. So let me know.
Great, thank you. Stephanie, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a first-year student, and I'm a combined linguistics and psych major. I'm from Ridgefield, Connecticut, which is very close to Stanford. How did I discover? I think I learned Mandarin when I was really young, and then when I picked up Spanish, it came kind of like second nature to me, and I think it was because I got used to learning different structures, and it was easier for me to put it together. So then I thought about linguistics, so I'm here. And I think I would also use excited to describe the semester. I'm excited to be on campus, even though we're mainly virtual, and I'm excited to see what comes.
Great, thank you. Derek?
Hi, my name is Derek. I'm a first-year student. I'm a combined mathematics physics major, but I'm gonna definitely minor in linguistics and do as much as I can here. How I discovered linguistics, I think it's always kind of like, I took French in high school, and I was always less interested in the culture and less interested in the history and the aspects of the language that way. I was always so interested in the structure of the words and the structure of how they I was always able to define the words to myself based on knowledge of other languages, knowledge of Latin roots, and knowledge of English, and pull different pieces of the puzzle. And I love that aspect of language. And so that's what led me to linguistics. And there were never any classes in high school that I could try for that. So when I found out that there was I could minor in something like that here, I was very, very excited. I'd say my word for the semester, I liked Professor Littlefield's optimistic. I definitely wouldn't consider myself an optimist. So I think my word is more hopeful. I hope that everything's going to be going well. I'm skeptical because I'm a very skeptical person, but I try to have a lot of hope in these situations.
Great, thank you. I think we can all agree that being hopeful is an important part of all of our experience for the coming term. Professor Malhotra, would you like to say a bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Shiti Malhotra. I'm an assistant teaching professor with the linguistics program. Where I'm from? Where I'm from, Delhi, India. That's where I did my undergrad. And then I came here for my graduate studies. So I was an education major, and I took a couple of psychology courses. And in my final semester, because we had to take some learning courses, language learning courses, and that's where I got introduced to linguistics. And for my good fortune, that was the time when Noam Chomsky was visiting India. So he had a talk there. And I just happened to be dragged by my friend to attend the talk. And I was really impressed by his ideas. And so I took a couple of years of break because I wanted to do some work. And then I joined University of Maryland for my graduate degree. And in my very first semester, I again met Noam Chomsky because he was visiting Maryland. And I did tell him that it's all because of you I'm here. So that's my journey. I love linguistics. I usually do all kinds of courses. So this semester I'm doing 2 introduction to language and linguistics courses, one for the honors program and one regular intro. I do syntax, and I also do bilingualism, second language acquisition, Most recently, I taught a course on evolutionary linguistics. I have also done experimental syntax. So a little bit of, so if you ask me, I am more of a cognitivist. I do more theoretical stuff, but when it comes to bilingualism, I also venture into the social aspects of language. One word, well, I'm gonna go by Adam and pick two words. I'm nervous because for some reason, I believe that no matter how prepared I am, there are gonna be new things coming my way. And that makes me also very excited about this thing because this will be a new learning thing for all of us. So I'm kind of thrilled, excited, and nervous. So hope for the best.
Great, thank you. And I also could have said at the beginning, if anyone wanted to quote unquote cheat and have more than one word, that's also perfectly fine. Yuan? I think we're having a little trouble hearing you. Sure, yeah, by all means.
Yuan, it's interesting. I think I can hear you typing, but I can't hear you when you're speaking. Oh, maybe I could hear something there.
I don't know.
Oh, just barely. Yes, I can hear you.
That's weird. I'll look into it.
So I'm not sure if everybody can see this, but Yuan is sharing through the chat as her audio isn't working.
Great, thank you so much. So a lot of excitement, a lot of optimism for the new semester, which I think is great. Thank you for that. So let's see. Tulasi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tulasi. I'm a first year student, and I'm also a CS and linguistics combined major. I wouldn't call myself an avid language learner, unlike I think a lot of people who get interested in linguistics. One of my friends kind of showed me the International Phonetic Alphabet in high school, and I got super interested in that and began investigating different topics in linguistics. And I don't know, I'm solidly monolingual, but I'm definitely looking forward to being more invested in like learning different languages and discovering that in college. And then for my word, I'm actually just gonna say nervous because I mean I am also very excited about the semester, but it's definitely strange to be going into this mode of learning and in a new environment and have everything be online. But I'm definitely still looking forward to everything that's gonna come. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Professor Bucher, would you like to introduce yourself?
That's me. I'm Grace Sullivan Bucher. You can call me Grace or Dr. Grace. It's fine. I am actually from right outside the Boston area. I grew up in Arlington, Mass. And it's funny, I'm teaching language and culture at Northeastern in the fall, but I'm actually an alumna of the linguistics program. So I discovered linguistics kind of early-ish, early for some, but I enrolled at Northeastern as a behavioral neuroscience major, thinking I was going to do language and psychology, like cognitive stuff, maybe like brain surgery for stroke patients, like had this whole grandiose plan, and then took psychology of language my freshman year, first semester, and was introduced to this crazy alphabet called the International Phonetic Alphabet. I was like, what is this? This is so cool. And so I took an intro to linguistics class, and like Dr. Randall said, my eyes were just completely opened, and I abandoned all of the pre-med stuff and just dived right into linguistics and ended up double majoring in linguistics and psychology. But then I went to Georgetown for my master's and my PhD and focused on sociolinguistics as it relates to language and the criminal justice system. So I do my concentration in grad school was language and crime analysis. So things like death threats, ransom notes, intense things like that. But I really found this, my passion lied with more legal linguistics and social justice as it relates to the criminal justice system, like police-civilian interactions, courtroom discourse. So I'm a sociolinguist first and foremost. And although I did spend most of my time at Northeastern doing syntax and started out at Georgetown doing syntax, I kind of shifted into more socio. So the courses that I've taught in the past, so I'm teaching at Northeastern language and culture, but I've taught a diplomacy class in the College of Professional Studies because my I do a lot of cross-cultural consulting. I do a lot of consulting for people with diversity and inclusion training, kind of taking that social justice side of my research and putting it into applications of that. I've taught forensic linguistics in the past, intro, things like that. But I've been teaching online almost exclusively for the past 2 years. So I'm fairly confident and okay with the like the curveballs that get thrown with all this stuff. So I am although my first semester teaching online was very stressful. I had like scripts written out and things you don't need. So my word is actually, I'm excited. I think my word is homecoming, because I'm very excited to be back in my former current department, and to have this angle of language and culture is really cool. And that was one of my favorite classes I took. So I feel a little bit like everything's full circle. So I'll take it too. It's homecoming and excited.
Great, thank you. Vicky, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Vicky or Victoria, either one. I'm a student, freshman in computer science and linguistics at my major, and I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And first discovered linguistics. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos like on the topic, different like about conlangs and like how comparing different languages and how they're constructed. And then I didn't realize it was like an actual like field you could study until I watched Arrival, and I saw that and like made characters a linguist. And after that, I was like, wait, that's an actual thing that I can do. So yeah, that's why I chose this major. And one word that describes how I feel coming here is enthusiasm. I'm just excited to kind of learn this thing that I've always kind of liked learning about like informally and kind of have formal instruction on it and really explore it this way. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And I will say Arrival is, I think, offers a fairly accurate depiction of what a linguist would do apart from the whole alien thing. but as far as learning, trying to figure out what a foreign language, how it operates, I mean, I would have preferred to see a lot more of that. They kind of jumped from point A to point Z pretty quickly for the purposes of the movie, but I'm rambling a bit. It's a good movie if you haven't seen it. Thank you.
You know that they used Jessica Coon's McGill office as the model for
Yes.
that movie, and they took all of her stuff out of her office and moved it to the studio, and then they put it back. So they reconstructed her office somewhere else. And she's an MIT PhD who now teaches at McGill.
They strove for authenticity.
They got it. Yeah, I mean, look at the books on the shelf. Those are a syntactician's books.
Great. Sebastian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me all right? All right, sounds good. Hi, my name is Sebastian Toledo Altamirano. I'm joining you from Hopkinton, Massachusetts. As you can see, this is my home. I'm not on campus this semester. So I'm actually gonna do them kind of out of order because, because the how did you discover linguistics part is gonna be a little long, so I'm gonna like, all right, so. One word I would say, not what I'm thinking, but like what my mind is on right now is probably bizarre. Like this is a very weird situation, obviously. And I just want to figure stuff out and I hope I'm not overwhelmed, but we'll see how it all plays out. Anyways, how I got into linguistics is I think kind of by accident, right? Because I've always liked languages and linguistics, like from a young age. I grew up speaking Spanish. I just really like languages. I started making my own like conlangs, like from a very young age. Like I had like a little like book with like little like language stuff. And so I kind of just abandoned that like when I got into like middle school and high school because I was like doing computer science and that kind of thing. So I'm actually a CS plus linguistics combined major. So yeah, I want to be doing computer science as well as linguistics. And I was actually thinking of abandoning linguistics like when I got into it, but then one of my friends was like, what are you doing? Like you need to major in it because you like it so much. So I was like, okay, sounds good. Also my grandfather speaks Zapotec, this dialect of Zapotec. So I have a little dictionary about his culture stuff. So yeah, I have my background, but I got into like the actual like scientific linguistic stuff through YouTube, much like Vicky and like the other like cool stuff that I found on the internet. Like that certainly helped me a lot. So yeah, that's my story.
Great, thank you. Professor Painter, would you like to say a bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm here. I'm Rob Painter. I'm an associate teaching professor here in the linguistics program. In terms of questions, well, first, I'm from Westchester County in New York, from a very nice town called Pleasantville. And there's actually a Sunnyside Avenue in Pleasantville, which is something I always tend to mention. In terms of what kind of courses I teach, by training, I'm sort of a phonetician and historical linguist, but here at Northeastern, I've taught most things, I think, at this point. I teach intro, I teach ling analysis, semantics, sociolinguistics, morphology, phonetics. One of my favorite courses I've done here is the Field Methods Seminar, which I'd love to do again sometime soon. That's something from my training I was really interested in. I got my PhD at the University at Buffalo State University of New York, and they had a real emphasis of going out in the field and describing and documenting languages. So I've always been sort of interested in that typology side. And that's my segue into the fact that we're starting a dialogue of civilizations and linguistics, where we're going to be doing some field work on Scottish Gaelic spoken in the Outer Hebrides. So if that, knock on wood, is going to happen in July 2021, if the world is a much better place in July 2021. In terms of how I discovered linguistics, you probably got a really similar story from Professor Cooper. He and I have actually very similar profiles. I went to college at Colby College in Maine and studied Latin and Greek and German and French and a little Japanese. So I was sort of interested in languages coming in. I was going to become a Latin professor. I thought that was going to be this like great wave of the future. I wanted to be at like Oxford University wearing a tweed jacket with elbow patches and an ascot and like walking around. But, you know, it turns out there's not a lot of job opportunities in Latin. But more's the point, I was working on my PhD thesis in Latin on poems of Ovid. If you don't know, Ovid is a Silver Age Latin poet. And the Latin books were right next to the linguistics books. So I'd be in the library late, you know, taking a big stack of books down. And like I'd pick out, okay, Roman love elegy, Roman history, grammar of Turkish. And it's like, well, I don't really have time for it, but I picked up the grammar of Turkish anyway. And then like you'd pick up the grammar of Korean. And then you had this like niggling sense that like you were sort of in the wrong field. So basically you're not supposed to like change majors when you're in a PhD program. But I basically switched and started studying linguistics, and I don't think I've looked back very much at all. So that's how I sort of discovered things.
And then do you have one word that kind of encapsulates your feelings about the
Yes, I've decided that my word is going to be chill, which you can take it as like an adjective or a state of being. Because, I mean, there was this period over the summer where I was so amazingly stressed and there was a million things to do, that I've sort of taken comfort in the fact that there's no way I'm going to do everything, and there's no way I'm going to do everything perfectly this term. So I'm just going to be sort of low-key about it. After stress, there's this hidden layer of transcendent chill. And so I'm going to be relaxed about the semester. That's my feeling now. We'll see how long that lasts, but that's my idea.
Bill, it's something we can all strive for, that transcendental level of chill. Thank you. Julia, would you like to say a bit about yourself? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm from this area. I'm from Attleboro, which is a town like an hour south of Boston. I discovered linguistics actually in high school. I took a class on it. So it was given by a lit teacher. So it was very like English language, like how can we use linguistics as applied to literature type thing, and very, very basic linguistics, like baby linguistics. But immediately when I took it, I was like, yep, this is for me. This is exactly what I want to do. So I came into Northeastern as a linguistics major, a straight linguistics major in 2011. And I graduated from the program. I stuck with linguistics the whole time. I minored in Chinese, but did a straight linguistics major and graduated. And since then, I've been working part-time in the program as the administrative assistant. And right now, I'm currently working on my master's degree at Brandeis in computational linguistics. And what is this word thing? I'm sorry, I came in late.
If you just have one word that kind of encapsulates your thinking about, you know, the upcoming semester.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, not to be a drag, but I think a good word might be focus. It can be a little hard when you're stuck at home, or I don't know, people have different experiences. I think it's helpful in some ways and difficult in others, but I think focus is maybe a good thing.
Great, thank you. So I think we've had an opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves. Is there anyone who hasn't? I don't think so. Okay, so looking at the time, I did have an icebreaker prepared, but I think this was an opportunity in and of itself to get to know each other. And what I'd like to do now is, in the minutes that we have left, you know, turn it over to you for any questions that you might have, you know, as you're thinking about linguistics at Northeastern, as you're about to embark on your first year at Northeastern. You know, are there any questions that that you have that you know, that we can talk about now? And I guess if you want to pipe in directly by audio, I think we're a small enough group that that should be okay. If you want to put your question in the chat, certainly feel free to do so. If you want to raise your hand, virtual hand, certainly feel free to do that as well. So any questions? Okay, so we have a question from Abhijit.
I know Professor Randall mentioned before her program with linguistics and law. I wanted to know if you had like recommended outside of class linguistics places like where we can delve deeper into linguistics, maybe a club or some other like research opportunity, something like that, that you would recommend.
Well, so we do have a linguistics club, and my understanding is that they are putting together plans for the current semester, but it is a student-driven organization, so the faculty, offer guidance and support. But certainly as we hear more about what they have on the agenda, we'll be happy to circulate it in all of our courses, including in intro. Professor Littlefield, do you have any other?
Yeah, I would add reaching out to faculty members that you are working with, or that you've had in classes that you like. So Professor Randall has her law research. Professor Bournes, who is an affiliated faculty member researcher actually, has a project on Cherokee that he often takes students to work on. And that would be a volunteer opportunity rather than for course credit for the most part. In psycholinguistics, there are a couple of labs that are very active. I would say if you're really interested in research, sometimes it's hard to get involved that first semester just because you don't really have enough knowledge, but let us know, either Professor Cooper or I or another of the faculty members. So I remember I even had a student once, their first semester, they were like, Professor Littlefield, I have to get involved in research. Here's what I want to do. And I was like, it's a little early yet, but let's keep that in mind. And then like a year and a half later, we actually developed a research project together that did what the student wanted. So even if it's not something that we ourselves are working on, sometimes we might, kind of if you just seed the idea, we'll get there eventually. So yeah, there are many opportunities there.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Abby, I think you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was a way for me to maybe contact or get in touch with other people from my combined major, because I'm doing the linguistics and cultural anthropology, and so far I haven't met anybody else who's studying the same thing.
So I think we should be able to put you in touch with the other students who are incoming, who have that combined degree program, and then also any of the students that are currently making their way through that program. And certainly I appreciate your interest in connecting in particular with that group for the shared experience, but then also to see how it proceeds once someone has been in that program for a few years. So I can look into getting you that information so you can make those connections, certainly. Thank you. Any other questions or anything of that sort?
This isn't really a question, but if anyone wants to like drop their socials in the chat so we can keep in touch, everyone in linguistics.
And
yeah,
Professor, oh, sorry, I was going to ask Professor Cooper, when you emailed the invitation out to the students, were they able to access those emails? Because there were a couple of other students also who were incoming in linguistics, but had conflicting events that they had to go to. So
yes.
Vicki, that list may be a little longer than what we're just going to get here too.
Right. Yeah. So I think if you go back and look at if you did get that welcome invitation email from me, I think I included everyone's addresses there. So you should be able to see the other members of this first year cohort. But just to pick up on this and to connect back to a little of what Dr. Littlefield had said earlier, so we are planning on having a good amount of programming over the course of the semester outside of actual classes, so that students have an opportunity to interact with each other, to engage with each other, to engage with the faculty, and bring our love of language and linguistics out of the classroom and still grow it in a non-purely academic way. So look for more on the kinds of planning that events that we're planning as the semester gets going. So any other questions? If there are no other questions, then I can go back and talk more about Arrival and what I thought about it. but I don't know how much we want to hear that.
I have so many feelings about it.
Maybe we should have an online viewing of Arrival and then a film discussion when it's over so that, you know, people who haven't seen it can see it and your comments could be, you know, understood by everybody. It's interesting. And I also have some comments, but
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I made a note of that too, that maybe for our study break, we could do that, and just, you know, even if we watch it together, we could all be chatting while we see it and stuff.
I did have a bit of concern. I didn't want to spoil the movie for anyone who hasn't actually seen it yet by launching into my feelings about it. But any other questions in the last few minutes that we have?
It looks like some have other meetings, so we might want to wrap up to give them time to get to a 2 o'clock.
Certainly, yeah. So I don't remember if anyone said the word overwhelming as part of their introduction, but certainly I can appreciate that this is, you know, perhaps relatively overwhelming experience to start school under these circumstances. So certainly, if you do have any questions as you absorb all this information, as you acclimate yourself to life at Northeastern, you know, if you have any questions, anything comes up about linguistics at Northeastern, you know, don't hesitate to reach out. As the faculty advisor for linguistics, I'm always happy to take questions. I'm always happy to set up, you know, if you want to have a Zoom meeting, I'm happy to do that as well. And in fact, I think I can speak for, you know, all the faculty. We love linguistics. We're happy to talk about linguistics. We're happy to talk about linguistics at Northeastern. You know, don't hesitate to reach out if anything ever does come up. You know, with that, I think we can conclude our session, and I'll just say, you know, thank you all for attending. Thank you all for sharing a bit about yourself. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great fall 2020 semester.
Thank you so much.
Stay in touch.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
You all. Bye.